Kadosh Boker Or, Masechet Avodah Zarah Daf Yomi Daf Yud 17a1. Basically, the Gemara is speaking about right now where Rabbi Akiva went and he told his rabbi, Rabbi Eliezer. He went and he told him, was there something that you came and you basically got happy, or you accepted something of the heretics, and because of that you were taken for the heretics, which means that when he was captured and he was going to be killed, so they went and they told him, right, what were you doing nonsense? So he went and he said, Ne'eman alaya dayan, right, the judge is trustworthy on me. So the ruler thought he was referring to him. So since the ruler thought he was referring to him, he went, he said, you know what, you believe in me, you're a good guy, you're exempt. Now, Chas Shalom, he was saying Ne'eman alaya dayan was HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? But again, since what happened was this is the way that he accepted it, so therefore he went and he felt bad because Ki'ilu that he was let go only because Ki'ilu it looked like he was going after this hegemon, and it wasn't going after this ruler, he was going after HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he went and he told him, yes, there was once upon a time where this person, this heretic came and he asked him, are you allowed to make a washroom for the Kohen Gadol with an etnan zonah? An etnan zonah is basically a present that's given to a zonah, to a harlot. And basically what happened was is that we said that you're never allowed to bring an etnan zonah. You're not allowed to bring anything to do with this because it's impure, so you're not allowed to bring it to the Bet HaMikdash or all these things. So the question is, can you make it as a bathroom though? So he went and he didn't really know how to answer him, right? So he went and he said that technically it should be permitted. He says, why? Because it came from a filthy place, to go to a filthy place. So he said, and he enjoyed that, meaning that kilu, it sounded good. So because of that, he was over on that which it says in the Torah, harchek me'alecha darkecha, which means you have to distance yourself from minut, ve'al tikrav el petach beta, and don't go close to the entrance of her house. And we say there that that's the reshut. The reshut is the government. However, though some people say harchek me'alecha is minut and the reshut, which means the heretics and the government. And then last one is that when it says do not go close to the entrance of her house, that's a zonah. So he says v'kama, and how much you have to distance yourself from a zonah. So he says amar Rav Chasta arba amot, 4 amot. So you have to distance yourself from the house of a zonah 4 amot. V'Rabbanan, this is where we're starting from today. Okay, Rabbanan. So says the Gemara, the Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Yeah, so says the Gemara v'Rabbanan. And he comes and he says like this: Haimet nan zonah my darshibe. The Chachamim that they do not accept the pirush of the minut of Yaakov ish Kfar Sachania. That means basically they're going to come and they're going to say, right, that you're not allowed to do this. So therefore, what do they learn from etnan zonah? What do they learn exactly? So he says, Kedrash of Chasta, they learned the drasha, that which was expounded upon by Rav Chasta. Tamar Rav Chasta, says Rav Chasta, Kol zonah sheniskeret, levasof hi socheret. What does that mean? Right? At the end of the day, any zonah that she comes and she's going to be rented out, at the end, she's going to have to rent out the men for her. Meaning at the beginning, she's being rented out because kilu she's mevukeshet, right? People need her. But at the end, it's going to become the flip side. She's going to need the men because nobody's going to go to her because she's going to be bezuya. Upligi, right? And he says, Shneimar b'says pasuk, uvtitech etnan ve'etnan lo nitan lach. So he comes and he says that this is based upon the pasuk. Upliga Rav Pedat, and this argues on Rabbi Pedat. Tamar Rabbi Pedat says Rabbi Pedat lo asa Torah ela kriva shel gilui rayo bilvad. Do you know that the Torah is only going to prohibit you, right, to do with distancing of gilui, exactly, mamash primary relations, right, and not daladamot. Nemar, but it says in the pasuk, ish ish el kol sheves lo tiklu legalot erva. So it's mashma from Rabbi Pedat that you don't have to distance, right, daladamot from the petach of azona. So obviously this is going against that we just mentioned now. So one more time, how much you have to distance yourself from the petach zona? According to the Gemara beforehand, it was daladamot, but according to Rabbi Pedat, you don't need to. Okay, that is the shita of Rabbi Pedat. Fine. So says the Gemara. 1 minute. He says, Ula, ki hava ate mi berav. When Ula came from the Bet HaMidrash, right? Beit Rav is the house of the rabbis. What means the Beit Midrash? So ula kiava ati mi Beit Rav, hava menashek lehu lachvate abe yadaihu ve'amrile abe chadaihu. So he used to kiss his sisters. Okay, now he used to kiss them either on their hands, right, or some people say on their chests. Yeah, abe chadaihu. So says the Gemara, upligi didei. Now, obviously, is soter, right, himself. Why? Damar Ula says, kriva be'alma asur. Any type of a kirva between a man and a woman is going to be prohibited. Why? Mishum lech lecha. Right? Sorry. Lech lecha, thank you. Lech lecha, menina nezira. What does that mean? We're always going to come and tell a nazir, right? Sechor lekarma lo tikrav. What does that mean? Right? Always go around the kerem, the vineyard. Don't come close to it. What does that mean? You have a nazir. Is a nazir allowed to come and have wine? Obviously not. So if he's not allowed to come and have wine, so therefore we come and we actually tell him also, not only just don't have, stay far away, distance yourself even from the vineyard. Mamash, don't even get yourself into a scenario where you're already going to lose, as they say. So therefore, distance yourself. So this is like what? This is like, not like Rav Chasta. How could Rav Chasta come, right? Sorry, Rav Chasta, this is the Ula. How can Ula come, right, and kiss his sisters? At the end of the day, he should distance himself completely. So the Gemara is going to actually bring another drasha to this. Laluka shte banot, hav. What does that mean to the aluka, right? Is basically, remember, we already learned aluka. You're not allowed to drink, right, at nighttime, or you're not allowed to drink from the sea or from the river at nighttime because you can't see. And what might there be there? An aluka, the leech, I think they said in English, right? Leech. So he says, la aluka shte banot, right? That they're saying hav. What does it mean hav? Right? Amar Murukva says, it's a kol shte banot shetzokot miginam, right? It's their two banot that they're coming, they're screaming from Ginam. Okay, V'omrot, and they said, Ba'olam hazeh, in this world, haveli, give me. Umaninu, what are those? Minut v'reshut, right? The minut, heresy, and the reshut, and the shilton, which means that these are the two ki'ilu banot, right? We're referring to heresy and the reshut, the banot, that they're always coming and give it to me, because they're always trying to lure people into them. And therefore, these are always going to be coming and screaming, right, to bring to me. So there are those that say, and they're saying in this world, right, aveli. So it's the question is, who's the one that's screaming? Is it the shte banot tzokot miginam, or is it Ginam which is tzokot and telling you, giving the two banot? Okay. Another one is kol ba'eha lo yeshuvun velo yasigu orchot chaim. What does that mean? Anybody that comes from Avodah Zarah is not going to be chozer b'tshuva. Lo yeshuvun. We're not going to do tshuva. Velo yasigu orchot chaim, and then they're not going to do the way of life. So he says, v'chi me'achar shelo shavu. If they didn't do teshuvah, so hechan yasigu. So then how are they going to get olam haba? Obviously they're not going to get the way of life because the true life is olam haba. So obviously, so Gemara says, no. The explanation of the pasuk is like this: hachi kama ve'im yashuvu. Even if they do teshuvah, meaning it's very difficult for them to do teshuvah once they do the heresy, the Avodah Zarah. But even if they do teshuvah, they're not going to get olam hazeh. Why? Because they're going to die quickly. What does that mean? That means it's not that they're not going to get olam haba. Obviously, if a person does teshuvah, he gets olam haba. He's not going to get olam hazeh, this world. Why? Because he's going to die right away. So he says, why? He says, what? Are you going to tell me anybody that separates from heresy, they die right away? There was a woman that came in front of Rav Chasta to do teshuvah. So she told him, right? He says, from the averot kala, the lightest ones, mamash, we're talking about the smallest one of her averot, right? Is that she had her younger boy from her older boy. Light. That's the lightest one. Yeah, you understood what that means? That means she basically went with her son, her older boy, and that's why she had a younger boy. And this is what she's saying is mamash like avera ktana. Yeah, mamash like kilu katan shebaktanim. Yeah, baktana. A woman. You want to know her name as well? Aywa. Ve'amala Rav Chasta. So says Rav Chasta. Tirchula bezvadda. He says what? Prepare for her the tachrichim. Yeah, what does that mean? Prepare for the tachachim, right? Zvadta is like mamash tzeda laderech, so prepare for her tzeda laderech, as if she's going. Still lometa, right? Mideka amra, and she didn't die. Mideka amra, from the fact that she said kalasha bekaluta sta mikal de minunami. It's much better. She was also had the heresy as well, right? That means it wasn't only just this. She did everything, right? And therefore she didn't die immediately. So what are you talking about then? So he says, no, hahu telo adraba shapir umishum hachi lometa. On the minut, she wasn't chozer b'tshuva completely. So that's why she didn't die. Meaning on a heresy, it's very difficult to do teshuvah, right? And because of that, that's what he's saying. That means be'emet, if she would have done teshuvah shlema, she would have died immediately. She would have died. Yeah? So he says here, Ika damri. There are those that say, yeah, you've got like a whole footnote over here to do with the, yeah, about this. He says, Ika damri, mi minut in, me'avera lo. He says what? Only from minut, they die quickly, but not from gilui rayot. There was a woman that came in front of Rav Chasta, another one. Yeah. Rav Chasta, right? So now comes, now again, the same thing. She did the exact same avira also, right? Which means, right? He says, she comes and she said that she did a kalash bekalot. And Amar Rav Chasta, zavduli zvata umeta. And she did die right away. So says the Gemara, no, this woman did die right away, but since she said it was kalash bekalot, it means obviously she had minut. And since she had minut, that's why she died right away. Not because minut heresy. Heresy, Avodah Zarah, going against Hashem. Okay, so says the Gemara, for a gilui rayot, they don't die right away. Tanya, we learned to the right. This is a famous story. By the way, this is a beautiful story. Listen to the story. Amru alav al Rabbi Elazar bedurdia. They said on Rabbi. Remember, they're calling him here Rabbi because of his end. Rabbi Elazar ben Durdia. They actually say, by the way, I remember, I think there's a Siftei Chaim that he brings down that it's actually even in his name, Durdia. There's a whole thing here. Shelo hiniach zona achat ba'olam. Yeah, this person, he didn't leave one zona in the entire world. Shelo ba'alea. Right? That he didn't have relations with her. Yeah, so mamash, this guy was professional. And what happens? What happens is pamahat shamashi zona acha bikrachei hayam. He once heard there's a zona that was in a mamash in krachei hayam ever layam. She used to take an entire bag of dinarim. So we're not talking about somebody cheap. We're talking about mamash, high end. Natal kis dinarim. He took the kis dinarim. V'alach v'avad alea shiva neharot. He had to pass 7 rivers to get to her. Right? We're not talking about Dvarim Shutim here. Mamash, he went all the way. Bishat ergel davar. During the time of Tashmish, he ficha. Yeah? She went and she passed gas. Yeah? So what happens? Amra, she comes and she tells him, Keshem sheficha zu ena chozer limkoma. Just like when you pass gas, right? It doesn't go back to its place. That's it. It went out. It went out. Kach Elazar ben Durdia, em mekablim oto b'tshuva. They will never let him do teshuvah. Now what happens is, the second that she went and she said that, that's when it knocks him out. When you come and you tell the person the truth to his face, that's when all of a sudden, now you're going to tell me that I can't do teshuvah? Now all of a sudden, that's when it hits hard. Halach v'yashav ben shnei harim u'gvarot. So he went and he sat between 2 big mountains and valleys. V'amar, he started saying, harim u'gvarot b'shol ha'rachamim, please pray for me from Hashem. Amrulo, they told him, until we're going to pray for you, we have to pray for ourselves. What does that mean? That the mountains are fitting to move on their own. Are going to come and we're going to become low. Amar Shamayim V'aretz. So he asked the Shamayim V'aretz, Amru Achanu Mevakshim Alecha, until we're going to pray for you, you have to pray for ourselves. Shneimar Ki Shamayim Kashan Imlachu, right? Which means that the Shamayim is going to be destroyed, right? V'aretz Kabeget Tivleh, and the land will become withered like a clothing. V'amar, so he says, okay, fine. Chama Ulvanad, sun and the moon, Mikshol Arachamim. Amru said, Achanu Mevakshim Alecha, until we're going to pray for you. Let's go. We should pray for ourselves. Shneimar Chafra Levana V'Shachama, which means that their light is going to become how do you say darkened? I don't know. You want to say a better word, right? It's going to become right. The light is going to be diminished. Amar. So he said, please, stars in the constellations. אמרו לו, עד שאנו מבקשים עליך, נבקש עלינו, על עצמנו, שנאמר, as it says in pasuk, right, ונמקו על צבא שמיים, all the צבא שמיים are going to become also hit. Samar, so he went and he said the powerful words. Remember that every single Elul, we always bring down this Gemara. Why? Ena davar talui ela bi. It's only dependent upon me. Just like Hillel says in Pirkei Avot, Perek Aleph, we just did it in Mishnah Yomi, Im en anili mili. If it's not for me, who is it for me? Which means everything depends upon me, because he can't ask the Shamayim Va'aretz, he can't ask nobody. Nobody. It's only dependent upon him. So what did he do? Right? He niach rosho ben birkav. He put his head in between his lap. V'ga'a b'vichya, and he just started crying. Ad shiatza nishmato, until he passed away. V'yatzta bat kol v'amra, and the bat kol came out and said, Rabbi Elazar ben Durya mezmunu chayim ba. So he became a Rabbi. Because his name was, here it is. Look in Rashi, Lekaman Lamedaled Mudalef, that it says Durdia, he says a shmarim, which is a psolet hayayin, which is the sediment, right, of wine. So therefore he says that's the worst part of the thing. So it's mamash mitkalkel, right? It's the bad part. The bad parts of the wine. His name was Rabbi Elazar ben Durdia. So Durdia actually comes from the sediment, from bad. It was actually his name already that he was bad. But he became a Rabbi. So because of that, he says what happened? Fahacha, here, it was an Avirah. Here it had nothing to do with heresy. He wasn't a heretic. He was just going after his desires, after his lust. And he still died right away. Because you see from here, he couldn't exist without that. So he died right away. So answers the Gemara, Hatam Navi there also. Kevan Davik Batuva, since he was so attached to it, Keminut Amia. It's considered like minut. It's like considered like heresy. And that's why he died right away. That means it does exist such a concept of dying also from the Gilui Rayot, but it has to be that the guy is mamash so attached to it that it's like, it's impossible to get him off of it. Right? So Bachar Rebbe Vamar, so Rebbe started crying and he said, Yesh koneh olamo b'sha'acha bekama shanim. Some people could come and and acquire their lifetime, their world, in many, many years. Yesh koneh olamo b'sha'achat. Right? And he comes and he says, and then there are certain people that they're able to acquire it in sha'achat. So we always ask, what? Is Rebbe jealous? Like Rebbe is jealous? Like, look, he's working hard for his entire life to get Olam Haba, and then this guy bypasses him in 1 minute and he gets Olam Haba. Right? So obviously, what? Is he jealous of him? That's why he's crying? What's going on? But rather we explained, right, an incredible Yesod Musar. Today's a Musar class. The incredible Yesod is the Rebbe understood that if in one moment you could acquire Olam Haba, imagine how many moments we have every single day. Which means the sha'achat that we have, every single one of us, we have so much, we're able to acquire worlds, and we're able to acquire everything. That's what he was crying about. He wasn't crying that this guy has more than me, or this guy worked for 5 minutes and he gets Olam Haba, and I have to work sweat out my entire life to get Olam Haba. That wasn't he crying. He was crying the fact that look what you have in a few moments, what you could acquire. V'amar Rebbe, and that's what the Rebbe says, Lo dayan leba'alei tshuva shemekablim otam, ela korin otan Rebbe. Look at this guy. Not only did they accept his teshuvah, because this guy became a Baal teshuvah, he started crying mamash. You know what it is to cry for his avirot until he dies? Right? That means obviously he was crying of remorse, tremendous remorse. But they even called him Rebbe. So lo yamaspeak stam shu chazar b'teshuvah. Ukvar haya Rabbi Elazar ben Durya. Understand?
Plenty of people call me Rabbi too. When I'm out in the public.
There's the Gemara. At the bottom of Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, Rabbi Hanina v'Rabbi Yonatan avu kazle be'orcha. So Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Yonatan were going on the path. Matulana utreshvile. They got to a fork in the road. One went to the entrance of Avodah Kochavim. And the other one went to the entrance of a harlotry.
Which one would you take?
Right?
You have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Which
So he comes and he says one to his friend, when we go to the one of the Avodah Kochavim. Yeah, Yud Zayin Amud Bet. Right? So we want to do shchita to the Yetzer Hara. Yeah, so why? Because remember, the Yetzer Hara for Avodah Zarah was already destroyed from the Sheknet Gdula. Amar leidach, the other one told him, we should go to the entrance of the Bezonot. We should force our Yetzer Hara in a Kabel Igran, and we're going to get reward. So Kimatu Hatam, right? So what happened? So why do we go the other one? So he says Kimatu Hatam, and that's what they did. So they went to Chazinu Lezonot, Itkanal Mikamayhu. They saw that the Zonot Or nichnu, and they went inside. Elmaleh, he went and he told him, Menalacha, right? How do you know this? Right? How do you know that a person should go, right? How do you know this? How did you know that you could be somech on yourself and you're not going to suspect from the Yetzer Hara? Elmaleh, he said, Mezimati shmor alecha tevuna tinsereka. What does that mean exactly? He comes and he says, okay, there's a whole bunch of pirushim over here. What does that mean? Amlula Rabbanan, the Rava, what does that mean, mezima? Ilema, if you're going to tell me now that it's the Torah, dichtiv bazima, umetargeminan atzat chataim, machshavav chet, uchtiv, and it's written, hifla etza higdil tushiyah, which means that when a person comes and he has the Torah, which is also called zima and also called the netzah, it's going to watch over you. If so, zima mi baile. So it should be written, zimati shmor alecha, not mezima. So he says, Hachi Kama, this is what it means say, Midevar Zima, Tishmor Alecha Torah. From Devar Zima, which is basically from Zima. Zima is illicit relations, right? Any type of immoral relations. Tishmor Alecha Torah, the Torah will come and it's going to protect you. Okay? So basically, they had a lot of Siyata Dishmaya that when they went there, the Zonot went inside and therefore they didn't bother them and therefore they were able to overcome their Yetzer Hara. Again, it's not, one second, yeah? So now we're going to come and we're going to say the following Gemara. Tanabana, we learned in the Braita, right? This is a famous also Gemara, okay, where it says like this: Kashin Pesura Bilazar ben Perata, Verbi Harina ben Teradion. So you had two big rabbis that they were captured. Yeah, and what happens is that, right? They're captured. Now what happens is they're captured by the Romans. Samalo Rabbi Elazar ben Prata. Right? They only came and they're giving you one count. But for me, I've got 5 counts. Right? That means basically I went and I did 5 different things. Says the opposite. It's good that you were doing 5 counts. Right? He says, and still you're going to be saved from death. But woe to me that I was nipas on one thing and I'm not going to be saved. Why? The fact that you did Torah and Chesed, so you're going to be protected. And even though you have 5 counts against you, 5 offenses, you're going to be acquitted. But he says, but I only have one thing against me, and I'm going to be caught, which means that he's not going to be acquitted, and therefore he's going to be killed. Now, why? Because he learned Torah, but he did not do Gemilut Chasadim. Why? What does Ravuna say? Ravuna. If a person only learns Torah, it's like he doesn't have a God protecting him. What does that mean? What does it mean without Torah? What does it mean without Elohe Emet? What does that mean? It's like that he doesn't have a God that's protecting him. You're going to tell me what? Chanina? Right? You're going to tell me Chanina. He didn't do Gemilut Chasadim? Vatanya, we learned in the bright. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omen. Lo yiten adam mo'atav la'nakish tzedakah. Lam ken, right? Memuna alav tamid chacham, Rabbi Chanim ben Teradion. He says you should never give money to a person that's a torem tzedakah, to a money collector, unless he's going to be a trustworthy person, right? Which is a mamash like a tamid chacham, like Rabbi Chanim ben Teradion. So now one second, if you just told me now that Rabbi Chanim ben Teradion was a money collector, he did do chesed. So what are you talking about now? So he says, no, hemunehu dehava me'emen. Lo avad. It was trustworthy, like Rabbi Chanim ben Teradion, but not the be'emet. He was actually doing that. So says the Gemara, how can you say that? But tell you, we learned in the Braita. Ambar lo, Rabbi Chanim ben Teradion told Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma, ma'ot shel purim yitchalfu li b'ma'ot shel tzedakah v'hilachtim la'aniyim. You remember we went and we said that we're going to bring down now on the next daf that basically what happened was that I got mixed up with the money of Purim and the money of my own personal money, and I gave everything to the Anim. So it's mashma that what did do chesed? So he says, no, meivad avad kedebay lo avad. Says he did do chasadim, but he didn't do it though it's fitting for him to do. Meaning, to bring me a person that doesn't do chesed at all, it's very difficult. Everyone does chesed. The question is what they're supposed to do.
Same as Elmaleh in the root story. He gave plenty of tzedakah.
Right. But what are you supposed to do? Meaning, lefum gam la shichla, according to the camel, is his weight. Meaning that according to what they're supposed to do. You could have a billionaire that he gives tons of tzedakah. But if according to him he didn't give enough tzedakah, he's worse than the poor guy that he gave the tzedakah. Now you're going to say, how could it be the poor guy gave $100 a year for tzedakah, but he was completely poor, but he gave his portion. The rich guy gave $100 billion, but it was nothing according to his portion.
If you get an Ali and give $5, it's not nice.
The person says, be careful. So Atiuhu Rabbi Elazar ben Prata, right? So they went and they brought Rabbi Elazar ben Prata. Vamnu, and they told him, why is it that you taught Torah? Why did you steal? Amar lehu, he went and he said, I don't understand you guys. Right? It's a stira mine obe. You guys are asking contradiction. He says, why? Isaifa lo safra, visafra lo saifa. He says, I don't understand you. If you're telling me that I'm osek b'cherev, which means that I'm a murderer and things like that, I'm a thief, so then I can't be learning Torah. And if I'm learning Torah, so I'm not a thief. So therefore, the fact that you're telling me that I'm both claims are false. Both claims are false. Yeah? Because you know how it is. In the defense, they always try to punch right into the prosecutors. That really, be'emet, if one part is not true, so the other part is also, the entire thing just falls apart. So what happens? Right? So they went and they said, okay, fine. So they were thinking, they said, you know what? Okay, it actually makes sense. There's something here. So fine. Right? So why did they call you rabbi then? So he went and he said, Rabban shel tarsimani. He says, I'm the rabbi of the, how do you say, oreg, the weavers. I'm the master of weavers. So they call me rabbi of weavers. Aitule tre kibure. So they went and they brought it to him. The amrule, they went and they said, Hayde shati v'hayde arba. Which one is sheti? Which one's erev? Now, Rabbi Elazar, he didn't know. And he didn't know either. Right? Itrachesh lo nisa. He had a miracle. The ata ziburta otival de shatya. A devora nekeva, a female bee, came and he went on the sheti.
He made it up? He wasn't a weaver?
He wasn't a weaver. He made it up. But they brought it to test him.
Yeah.
Now he didn't know how to differentiate even which one's which.
Which was life, apparently.
So this the ata zibura viati val de'arba. So the zachar of the vurim came and it went on the erev. When he said that Tamalu, he went and he told them, Hay de shatia v'hay de arba. He went and he said, this is sheti and this is erev. Right? He comes and he says, okay, obviously he's only mechute tzemer, not mechute pishtan. It's very difficult to know. So therefore, they didn't do it in the wool. It was a whole thing that it was very difficult for him to know. But again, he purposely was, HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it in such a way. Here he says that chutei sheti and chutei yesod. The chutim dakim holchim lorko. Chutei ha'erev or chutim avim, they're thicker, right? That they come and they mix them together. So he went and he said, but there's a whole thing about exactly, why. So, he had the male, the female. He knew exactly which one was which. Okay? Fine. Samrule. So then that was the third one. So again, they're going through all five of them. Remember, the first two he knocked down, but he said, if I'm a thief, I can't be a rabbi. And if I'm a rabbi, I can't be a thief. So they got rid of that. Then the third one was, remember, there were five, right? The third one was, right, why are you called rabbi? He said, no, I'm a rabbi of weavers. So he tested him and he passed. Fourth one, Amrule, why don't you come to the Avodah Zarah? Yeah, Bet Avidan is the Bet Vad of the Avodah Zarah. Why don't you come? Amar lehu, he told him, Zaken right? I'm elderly. He says, what? I'm going to go. You guys do stampedes. You guys push this. I'm going to be killed. Amru, and they said, 1 second. He says, how many zikenim, right, were killed? On the exact same day that they're telling him this, right, there was a zaken that was killed.
It never happened before.
It never happened before, but it was a miracle. So again, all of a sudden, okay, that meaning he's saying something which makes sense. That was the fourth one, right? The fifth one, the zaken died there in the Bet Vad of the Zara. Of course. No, but we're talking about the Bet of the Zara. No, well, I thought you synagogue. I thought you meant of the Avodah Zarah. Or Bet Vad of Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah. Yeah. So he comes and he says, "Umay tamaka." This is the fifth one now. Umay tamaka shavakta avdach lechirut. He says, why did you let your Eved Kanani go out free? Yeah, why did you free him? So he says over here, right? Because here it says that the Eved Kanani, right, is only going to be free according to the Din Torah when he gives him a shtar shechrur. So the Romans came and they said you're not allowed to be mekayim the Torah. So since they had a dut that Rabbi Eliezer came and he freed his slave, so that means kilu that he was doing al pi Din Torah. Amalu, he told him, what are you talking about? La Adam. What is La Adam? Lo ayu dvarim me'olam. Ma pitom. What are you talking about? Yeah, ma pitom. So kam chad minayu lasudebe. So one of the Romans came, they wanted to testify against him. That he, Ata Eliyahu idamu lekechad mechashuve de malchuta. So Eliyahu came to the mishpat, and he was appeared like one of the chashuvim of the malchut. The Amaleh, and he told them, Miditrachesh lenisa bekulhu, ve'anami yitrachesh lenisa. He said, since it was a miracle that happened in all these things, and he was saved, for sure there's going to be a miracle. Fahu gavra, and that person, which means that he's going bishutev de kachve.
Yeah,
he's just looking.
Not good for him.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for him. So what happened? Lo ashkachbe. He didn't care. Kam lemimalehu. So he went up and he was going to testify against him. Havaktiva igarta davaktiva mechashive de melchut deshidur bebekesad. And that moment, all of a sudden, there was an igeret that was given from chashuve malchut, right? Kedei lishalcha lebet hamoshel. When he got up, shadre al yedei gavra. They sent it to him, right? They went. They said, you have to take it to the moshel. Right? So when he was there, he went and he threw him 400 parsaot away. So he went and he never came back. Bekitsur, he sent him to Honolulu. Yeah, he got lost. That's it. He never came back. Okay? So at you, right? So this is basically the story of Rabbi Lazar ben Parta. Okay. Okay. So all these was because he learned Torah and Gemilut Chasadim. And the Torah and Gemilut Chasadim is going to protect because it's Chesed. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he does Chesed. And then the next one is that they brought Rabbi Chanina min Teradion.
Very famous.
At you, Rabbi Chanina min Teradion, and they said, why did you learn Torah? Amar lehu, he told them, Kashet Tzivani Hashem Elokai. Because that's what my God commanded me. Yeah, 100% Lishma. When he said, this is what my God, right, commanded. So there's a whole question, Bemet. What's the difference between him and the other rabbi? The other rabbi tried to get out of it. He didn't try to get out of it. Why not? So if you look right in the footnote, he already says. Meaning the other rabbi, he started saying, no, that if I'm a murderer, so I'm not a rabbi. So he said, yeah, but they call you rabbi. No, I'm a rabbi of weavers. Why didn't he say, my God commanded me. This is what I'm doing. No. He was trying to get out of death. So the question is, why doesn't Rabbi Chanina ben Teradion do the exact same thing? So why did it? He said, they went, they said, okay, he's going to be burned to death. His wife is going to be killed by the sword, and his daughter is going to have to sit in a kubash al zonot. Right? So a lovely srifa. Why srifa? Why did he get that? Think about it. He's going to be burnt. Shoget Hashem be'otiotav. He used to say the Shema Mefurash the way that it's written. The Yeho, and then you understand? That means the way that it's written, not the way that it's read. We read every time that it says Shem Yud Kevavke, we read it Amonai, right? We are Ado. So here he did it. Yes, exactly. So that's the way I'm explaining it, Richard. Right, but again, this is the way that for sure no one to read like that. So that's why.